Day one journey, episode 1013. Going live. I think we're already live. 1013, day one journey. Today I want to share with you why is it a good idea to define who you are and how. Yes, and how. I remember a friend asking me, being lost, not knowing how to present himself in a social event because he's not working at the time. He wasn't working at the time, and he was. So what would he say? Is he an engineer? Well, he's not an engineer right now, but he was learning engineering, and so. Well, I told him that I just say my name. I don't need a definition. Well, I don't want a definition, but am I contradicting myself right now? Why it is a good idea to define who you are and how? Well, I think... okay, so there might be a premise or an assumption that when I define myself, it's one definition, or it should be like a word, or it should be what I say when people ask me who, like, what do you do, or whatever. Well, for me, I'm taking zoom out. I take a zoom out and I think about self-awareness. So how do I define self-awareness? Well, self-awareness is who I am. There's one thing. So self-awareness, it's who I am. But how do I define myself? Well, I define self-awareness for me, and then I answer the question. So, self-awareness. How do I define self-awareness? And by the way, I don't try to be right. I try to find a definition that is going to be helpful for me. So this is the guideline. So I define self-awareness as the things that are most important to me in my life, of course. So I think about the most important things in my life, and I don't just list them. So let's say I value love, connection, growth, freedom, completeness, making a difference, being deliberate, being decisive. I have a lot of things that I can value in my life. These are things that I'm moving towards in my life. I do things right now, and I move towards them in my life. So, but it's not just making the list. It's making this list as priorities. When the first one is more important than the second one, and so on. For me, having the list, or more precisely, creating the list, this is the process of self-awareness. I'm getting to know myself. How do I do that? I ask myself the questions, what is important to me? Then when I have several things, I ask myself, what is more important to me? So I see the list and I order and organize the priorities. Knowing my priorities is having self-awareness. Understanding my priorities, my moving towards values, this is the process of getting to know myself, and yes, again, self-awareness. But why is it important? Why it's important? Well, one thing, it helps me to make decisions. It helps me to solve conflicts. Or more accurately, it won't be accurate me saying it helps me to solve conflicts. Actually, it's solving conflicts before. It's just asking the tough questions before. So just a random example right now. I remember an interview of Will Smith, and he said something about the importance of having priorities. So he said that his family is more important to him than his career. Well, you know what? I don't remember exactly what was the order of importance, but he said that he imagined himself sort of saying, well, he said several things. So I'll point out only one thing. So he's talking about the relationship. He was talking about the relationship, and so he imagined himself having an opportunity to cheat and not cheat. So he was living this future conflict right now in the present, and when he got there, he knew what to do. So for me, it's the same. Excitement, let's say, excitement is less important to me than completeness. I wouldn't feel complete or even love and connection to my future life partner if I go and I cheat. So what's more important to me? Right now, the ecstasy and the excitement right now, or my long-term commitment? Yes? What is more important to me? So I don't wait for things to happen. I actually think about these things. So let's say commitment versus, excitement. Well, for me, commitment is more important. And I already decided it because I thought about my values. I thought about my priorities. So for me, I started saying that priorities are that knowing myself, self-awareness, helps me to solve conflicts. Well, it's actually, this is the process of solving conflicts beforehand, before it actually happens in life, because you think about them. You think what is more important to you. And once you know what's most important to you, you can actually make decisions easily because you know this is more important than this. So there is no conflict because you created the list of priorities. So this is self-awareness for me. This is why it's so helpful. I find it so helpful. And to summarize it, I'll give you this quote. I think it's my quote. Knowing yourself, self-awareness, yes? Knowing yourself. So know yourself so you can be yourself, so you can be true to yourself. That's it. How can you be yourself if you don't know who you are? And knowing who you are, knowing what's important to you, this is a big question. It took me years, and I'm still there. I'm in the journey. Things change. Today I revisited my priorities, and I still think about them. But since I'm working in them, I'm working on them for the past 8 years. The first 5, I don't see them changing much. So I was thinking about the 6th priority and the 7th priority, examining. Either way, know yourself so you can be yourself, so you can be true to yourself. This is probably the only advice that I can give people. The blanket advice. Because only you know what's important to you. Have a good day, day 1. See you tomorrow.